I want to open up with some news. Now, Clobriel, obviously, I'm a big fan of his work. He is a phenomenal content creator that he does a lot of work on Twitter. He does a lot of graphics for Twitter. He actually did a post that is making some rounds, and it's pretty interesting because according to Clobriel, the gameplay reveal of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is now the most watched Call of Duty trailer ever in the game's history. So, where is this trailer? What are the numbers? Well, the numbers are like this. I'm looking at it, and this is live, literally from the Call of Duty YouTube channel, who has 7.74 million subscribers. Check this out, gentlemen. Now, you think Microsoft owning Call of Duty, not that big of a deal. Call of Duty coming into Xbox Game Pass for some, not that big of a deal because they're going to lose money. Well, according to the stat numbers, and of course I'm a evidence-based conversation kind of a guy, let's talk numbers. Luke Lore, currently, this particular trailer, which is 2 minutes and 10 seconds from start to finish, was viewed and has been viewed 49,564,773 times since inception. It says that it's trending. It's number 45, and this is since June 9th.
Jeez.
We are now June 12th. So in 3 days' time, it has nearly 50 million views. We were talking about the importance of Call of Duty as an IP. But when we were in the green room, you and I were talking specifically about the importance of this being in Game Pass. We think it's going to move mountains. I think this trailer and how many times it's been viewed goes to show you how important this game is. And in fact, it actually may move people to Xbox. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I don't see how it doesn't come out as a net benefit for Xbox, because either people are diving in via Game Pass, which I sincerely believe after this showcase we see console sales go up a bit across your Amazons, your UK sales charts, that kind of thing. But also your Game Pass numbers climb because games are expensive. $70 is a lot of money. There's a lot of game in Call of Duty, a lot of love for the Black Ops franchise, and Xbox fans, I mean, Fable, Gears, Call of Duty, that's what built the Xbox 360, and it's been roughly 20 years since that kind of era, and people are going to be excited for it. But I don't see how this isn't a net win for Xbox, as they get to show it in their showcase. Xbox gets to be on their box in their in the Call of Duty commercials and vice versa. But then if you're not choosing to check the game out via Game Pass, you're going to be able to play it by purchasing it, which benefits Xbox, benefits Call of Duty. And so this is a really great win. I'll also argue that however you're getting into it, you get a lot of game with Call of Duty, but they've also mastered their monetization model. And so you get a lot of game, but also once you're into the ecosystem of Call of Duty, there's a lot of methods of monetization that people subscribe to and make use of. And between Game Pass perks, getting it on Game Pass, people are more inclined to check out battle passes and the like. I see this as a net win all around. To see 50 million people checking out this trailer, just boom, 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 boom. It's the fastest trailer in Call of Duty history. Surely that means it's the fastest trailer in Xbox history. You could sense, and Boom, I don't know if you felt it in the room as well, and then like in talking to some of the people we did in the media room, you could sense the pride that the Xbox execs had that Call of Duty was there. We were standing in front of marketing. I had
You're onto something, Luke.
Yeah, I had a chance to bump into Sarah Bond and chat with her. That was a fun experience. I had a chance to see, a couple other people in the Xbox higher ups. There was a sense of pride about this show, about Call of Duty being there. COD was everywhere there was Xbox, there was COD next to it on all the stuff we stood in front of in the pictures. And that was cool. Like you could just, the vibe, the feeling was different. And this was a corner turn for Xbox that I think will bring it back to Xbox glory days, and certainly evens the playing
Can
field.
can I jump in for a second, because
Please.
you mentioned something while we were there, and I'm starting to see people make the to equate it to what you said. If you remember, Luke, you had said that you were getting Xbox 360 feels,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you look at everything that transpired at this show, I think not only were you onto something, but you jumped the trend before anyone even said anything. Because you have Gears,
hmm
you got Call of Duty,
hmm
you have all of these you have Fable,
hmm
you got Perfect Dark,
hmm
you got all of these older IPs making a comeback in a big new way,
hmm
and they're all Xbox.
Yep.
Xbox owns every one of them, and I think you're onto something. I'd like you to elaborate on that, bro.
Sure, no, happy to. Obviously the IP that you mentioned from Perfect Dark, Call of Duty, Fable, Gears of War, they all mattered a lot to the success of the Xbox 360 and the people that played it, right? Like we were all very excited to play it at the time. Gears was the first game I ever played on Xbox, the first game that put me into Xbox Live. And it's been, you know, just it's between 15 and 20 years since that era, which is just enough time for us old hats to grow up, have kids, get excited about things again, and talk about these franchises in a way that I think celebrates them and brings us to nostalgic feels that PlayStation and Nintendo have been able to capitalize on because they had longer legacies. Well, Xbox is now entering into that legacy phase where it's not just Halo that it's not just the original Xbox that has that nostalgic vibe. The original Xbox had a very small install base. The 360 had a very large one. So if we're entering the nostalgic phase for Xbox 360, I think you're going to see that pay dividends. Long brand approaches here for somebody that is interested in gaming and they're an old hat, they're feeling nostalgic vibes, and they see Xbox. Oh, I had an Xbox 360, and then they see, wait, in Game Pass, I can play Gears of War, I can play Call of Duty, I can play Fable, I can play what's that Forza game? I can play Perfect Dark. That
Yep.
takes me back, and then, not to put too fine a point on it, but like Dragon Age is there, right? Dragon Age is in that showcase as well. That's nostalgic vibes. That name carries panache as well, regardless of
Yep.
whether you liked the tone or not. And I think I really like the tone personally. But I think there's a lot of nostalgic vibes, and that nostalgia does lead to dollars spent in a lot of places. And I think it will lead to dollars spent here. So yeah, I really feel like Xbox is in a good place. You could, again, I will double down on this one. You could sense the pride amongst the Xbox execs for this show. You could see it in their body language, in their vibes, the way they spoke to fans, the way they spoke to media, the way they handled interviews, and private conversations with them and public ones. It was just, there was a vibe that was very special. And so I really have a positive outlook coming out of this showcase, even several days removed. And it's hard not to smile, to grin, to
Yep.
be excited about the brand in a way that I don't think we've had the privilege of being excited about. We've had like moments, but this was a whole showcase that just nailed it, and a whole event that just nailed it. Yeah, it feels good to be an Xbox fan right now.
I absolutely agree. I think there are some really finite points there that you're making, Luke. No doubt about that. And I think that nostalgia doesn't get enough credit for how powerful it actually is. And if you look at the response just solely, listen, I know Call of Duty is this behemoth, and that's what we're talking about. But if you ultimately look at some of the responses, some of the recorded videos, which I love watching for Gears, people actually lost it. People were crying
You were
on
right in front of
streams.
me. Your arms went straight up in the air.
Yeah,
And we were all like, yes.
yeah, man. I mean,
I recorded that.
because
I have the reaction videos. I put them up on my site. I recorded every
nice, dude.
reaction
See,
from the
because
crowd while we were at FanFest.
the thing is this. I think, because I know that it got a little criticism. How come there wasn't more reaction? I think they really shook the pillars. Like, I didn't know what I was seeing, because when I saw him, I thought it was his kid. I didn't think that was Marcus, because he's young. And then the minute they showed up in his face, I'm like, oh my God, is that Marcus?
Mhm.
And then when he was about to fall, and Dom caught him and brought him up. They did it in such a way where you couldn't tell who brought him up. It was just dark enough where you couldn't tell until they got up close, and that's when you heard me go when they said "ED." Oh my God! And I actually recorded myself doing that. I mean, I got goosebumps from head to toe right now. It was
Not one word was said in that trailer. The
no,
amount of emotion that came out of it, though, it
it
was
was
awesome.
just
That
stunning.
was
Shout out to
so
J
well
Rock.
done.
Yeah, it was.
Perfect.
It was, and unfortunately, somebody in the media had to be ratioed for a very disingenuous comment, which we're going to get into on Friday's Breakfast with Boom. By the way, tomorrow I'm sitting down with SAS Shadows, who's one of the biggest gears.
Oh, I love Shadows. I love
Yeah,
Shadows.
he's amazing, and if you saw his stream, he was crying. Like that was real emotion that came out of that dude. I'm sitting down with him and Crispy Bomb and See Money tomorrow. The entire show tomorrow, which is normally about 70 minutes, is going to be dedicated to Gears, where we think they're going. This is going to be a launch title in 2026 for the new Xbox. Rest assured on that. And we're going to get his reaction and some things, some behind the scenes stuff that he has info on. So we're going to get to that in a second. But
Oh,
let's
that disingenuous that disingenuous person that you're talking about doesn't use dark mode on his computer during events. Very rude. Very rude.
Yes,
I just want to point that out. I was like, dude, come on. I like you.
Oh my goodness, very rude indeed, for sure.
Yeah.
But we will cover that more on Friday. We have a great panel, a great show for Friday. Tomorrow is going to be all dedicated to Gears, but today, while we're here, Hargeet, I want to bring you in because for weeks leading up until this showcase, you have stood on your square specifically for Call of Duty. You wanted, and more importantly, you needed Microsoft to drive the point home of Call of Duty on Game Pass. Call of Duty is owned by Xbox, and now we have in front of us numbers. Now, the numbers don't lie. This is a Treyarch developed game. This is a Black Ops title. Two very important key factors is what I just said. But when you look at the numbers, nearly 50 million views in 3 days. People are excited. This is Call of Duty. It seems to be back in a big way. But the only difference this time around is that Activision is now owned by Microsoft, and Activision games are now considered first-party Xbox games. This is a turning of the tide. What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, the numbers are the numbers, right? I actually asked about, like, the thing I wanted was in the direct, would they be able to say Game Pass and why wasn't that there? And there are some reasons for that, that apparently maybe contractual, that they really can't do that. But at the trailer, at least, they did talk about it, right? So that is fantastic. 50 million. That's just ridiculous. But that's what you expect. This is Call of Duty. It's such a large IP. So that's what you need. You need to have that visibility, right? So it's awesome that that's there. I hope it instigates people to think, what the heck is this Game Pass logo? But even outside of that, you just have the fact that it's Xbox, right? It's Xbox. It's back home. Call of Duty is back home. This is the way it was with the 360 gen, right? The 360 gen was the dude, bro, shooter box. Why? It had Call of Duty. It had Halo. It had Gears, right? You wanted to play those games. You're coming here. This is the place to be, right? We had the online. We had the game chat. It was great. That's like you were talking, Luke, bringing back the nostalgia of the 360 gen.
Exactly.
This is it, right? It's just they're bringing all the only game not here was Halo, which is coming. We know there's going to be a Halo thing coming, right? So they've got all the things ready to go. And this is going to be every year. Call of Duty is going to come every year, and it's going to be marketed by Xbox.
Hey, let's welcome in Ham Solo from TSWS Gaming. Ham, how the heck are you, brother? How you feeling?
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you A.O. fine. You happened to jump in right at the nick of time. We were talking about Call of Duty, the importance of it. for many reasons. Obviously, it's important because it's an IP that's legacy. It has a fan base that is far-reaching. It is now going to be launching into Game Pass day and date, which seemed impossible. But what's interesting about this particular conversation is the record-breaking numbers. Ham Solo. Currently, Black Ops 6 is the most viewed Call of Duty title ever, with nearly 50 million views alone on the Call of Duty channel, which has 7.74 million subscribers. I want to get your hot take on the importance of this, not only for that many people viewing it, but in the importance of this being an Xbox first party game now because they own Activision, and what it will do for Game Pass.
No doubt. I mean, it's definitely gonna make some sort of shift. As is it gonna be immediate? I don't know, but I really do think that this is put right in front of people's eyes for them to see that, man, you could get this in a service as well now. Like before, it felt very separated, as in like how the heck, like even people thought there was no way that this would even be possible or a deal. Or I'm sure you heard plenty of fanboys, in the last 3 or 4 or 5 months saying, "Oh, they won't do that. They'd lose a ton of money. They do this. They do that." In my opinion, I feel like this is a good way for Xbox to be like, "Hey, we told you what we were gonna do. We're actually doing it." And not only that, but we understand gaming is an expensive hobby. If this is something that you want to do and you want to be able to have as much freedom, play whatever you want and whatnot, this is an available option. But at the same time, as Phil said, even in his little sit down talk with Ryan McCaffrey, he was just like, "Hey, you still have the ability to do what you want at the end of the day." And I think that's probably the most important part, because although this is great for Xbox and everything like that, this kind of doubles down on Phil's vision of like when everybody plays, we all win kind of thing. The thing he's been saying for years now. I mean, my selfish side is a little perturbed, but at the same time, I'm like, what do I win keeping anything away from somebody else? I'm sure not getting paid.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's just like, it really doesn't matter. Seeing somebody like my brother that lives in another state, he has a PlayStation 5. I'm sure he wouldn't mind getting a Series X or Series S or Series X at some point, but I don't. I mean, it does. I don't win anything if he feels forced to get an Xbox or whatever. So if he's able to hop into a game, be able to play with me, or if he goes on, and sees, hey, this is in a service where I don't have to continue to pay $70 each time, maybe eventually he'll find that, hey, I need to switch on over to Xbox and start saving myself some money. So it's just really up to how time plays out. And
since you brought it up, and what did he think of it? Did he watch the show?
Oh, I absolutely watched the show, man. I watched
no, not you. I mean, your brother.
3 times.
Your brother, the one that has a PlayStation.
Oh, did he watch the show? Oh, I didn't ask him. I didn't ask him. I talk to my brother like
right?
once a month, maybe twice a month. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, he has like 4 kids. I have my own kid. We're on different schedules completely. But I know he's a mild gamer. He's a very casual gamer, right? So like, even if he did see the showcase, I think he'd think things are hot, but he's the type of person that'd be like, I ain't got that kind of money for that dog. like he's real quick to be like that. So I mean, that is definitely something I'm gonna have to mention to him next time I go into town, because since he's Mr. I ain't got the money like that, dog, maybe Game Pass might be something that he might want to look into in the near future. So I mean, that's
hard to
definitely
argue $17 versus $76.43 for a one game.
man, that's
and
hard to say
Well,
it's worse.
on top of that, Ham, I like in my video, I actually equated it. It's literally the same cost to just buy the game plus the online access versus paying for Game Pass, and because of discounts, right? So you can get discount
Yeah.
codes, and you then get everything, literally everything, right? So like then you can choose to play whichever COD you want to, because eventually they're all going to be in Game Pass. You can play Halo if you like, whatever you like, right? It's all there, right? So you just get to play whatever you want.
All right, let me go
And
on ahead and bring this to an ending, like this part. Thank you, Boom, for inviting me here. Let me go on ahead and just kind of close my thoughts on this specific thing. I honestly think that this is only the beginning, and 41, or not 41, but nearly 50 million people viewing. That's a good chunk. That's a lot. Sure, it ain't GTA 6, but who is, right? Who's doing that number? Who else? Nobody.